Hey guys, today we're going to share some simple tricks on lighting women. Hi, my name is Ghionis. I'm a wedding, portrait and fashion photographer. I've been photographing for 27 years and teaching for 20. I'm going to share some of that experience with you right now and share some simple tricks and tips on lighting women and how to go from this to this. And don't forget, please click the link below or right up here and you can actually download my Portrait Quickstart for free. Enjoy! Okay, so you have a girl in front of you. Where do you start? How do you light her? What's going to complement her? What's going to bring out her shape? Well, here's the thing. I want to first establish the way I would traditionally pose a full-length girl, and I'll show you how we do it. In this case, if she stands flat-footed, basically looking right at the camera, so do that for me. If you stand flat-footed looking at the camera, there's sort of really not much shape. We're photographing her at her widest. It's not going to look that great. So what we need to do is this. We need to basically turn her body, so turn towards me for the moment. We need to point her toe towards the camera, slide the heel back, bend the knee in, shoulders back, lean the chest forward, and then arch the back a little bit. And for the sake of the argument, put your hands on your hips. So right now we have beautiful curves, things are looking great. But we need to also have lighting that complements the pose. Now traditionally, for a guy, and if you have a light source, you would turn the guy's body towards the light source, which would basically make his chest and shoulders, which defines the male form, towards the light source. And if we bring that body part closer to the light source as well, we emphasize it. Now with girls, it's actually quite the opposite. We want to turn the body away from the light source and then turn the face back in. Not always, but mostly. Especially if you're photographing, let's say, a model, anywhere from, like, say, a 12, 13-year-old and upwards. And if you want to complement curves and you want to bring out the beautiful shape, this is what we're going to do. Turn the body away from the light, turn the face back in. I'm going to keep on saying this until you remember it, but I'm going to prove it to you why, and looking at the nuances of where the light's coming from in relationship to her body and what's going to work best for her in terms of her skin and her shape and all these different things. Let's go to the camera and let's work this out. So traditionally, what we would normally do is if we see a light source, whether it's an open garage door, whether it's a window, whether it's an actual softbox, whatever it may be, if we see that light source, we are often tempted to turn her body towards that light source. Let's just turn your body towards that light source, just about there. Perfect. All right, we'll take a little shot like that. Now, although Rainey's got a great figure, I would say that if you have a mere mortal in front of your camera, let's say who's a little bit fuller in the body, let's say a bride or a girl who's a bit fuller in the body wearing a white dress or a lighter dress, if you turn her body towards the light source, she's going to look bigger and broader, and that's going to be a problem. Now, again, Rainey's got a great figure, she gets away with it, but we can actually bring out the best in her with some subtle changes. So if all of a sudden, if she turns her body now a little bit more towards me, so just face me perfectly. Okay, bring your hands down just for the sake of the argument. Again, we're photographing her in a very flat environment. Okay, so her legs are parted, her hands are by her side. It's a pretty boring way of photographing a girl. But here's the thing. If I want to photograph Rainey front on, I at least have the light coming from the side. Now, if you can see where I am in relationship to Rainey, I'm actually close to the direction of light. So the light is over there, but I'm actually more on this angle shooting this way. But what I want to do is, if I shoot her directly front on, you'll start to see some changes in the shadows of her body. We deliberately got her to wear a small little dress and white so we can see the shadows falling on her body. So let's do that. Okay, so now I'm directly in front of her. We're actually photographing her full length. Let's do this again. So again, with no finesse, hands by your side, looking right here. All right. Okay, so again, nothing's going on. There's just no finesse, nothing at all. We do have light coming from the side though. So my suggestion is this: if you have to photograph or you want to photograph a girl front on, at least have the light coming from the side. Now watch what happens when you look at her body and it subtly turns this way. So turn that way, stop there. Now we start to see more shadow on her body. And now, in fact, her chest and the front part of her body are in shadow, only the side of her is in light. But watch what happens when we so slowly turn her, stop. And now we're starting to see more shadow on her body, slightly different to before. Let's do that. Looking this way. So if you look at the photographs that I'm showing you, even a slight little difference, we're bringing out some more shadow. Now, it's going to be more evident when we actually pose her effectively. So watch what happens if we actually turn her body towards a light source like we did before. Stop there, too much, come back. Just there, good. All right. So now we're making her look bigger and broader, although we are getting a shadow on this side of her body. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to turn her body away from the light source and the face back in, as we suggested earlier in this broadcast. So what I want you to do is point your toe towards me, slide the heel back in, bend the knee, and then shoulders back, hands on the hips there. Now, very subtly, I want you to keep on turning. Now, watch, Rainey's going to actually turn very slowly, and I want to turn to a point where I can see a shadow on her cleavage in the middle of the dress, and we'll see what happens. So let's start from shadow. Okay, now, very subtly, keep on turning this way, keep on turning. Stop. Good. Do this for me again, just like that. And now, lean your upper body towards the window. Gorgeous. And now turn your face towards that way. Now, if you can, a little bit more so. Turn and turn your face. Perfect. Gorgeous. All right, look at the difference. So now we're seeing a shadow on her cleavage in the middle of the dress. Her actual bending the knee is causing that shadow as well. And we turn her face towards a light source, and it is so much better. Do you see what I'm trying to say? It's such an easy way of photographing. We often feel, and our instinct is telling us, the first time we ever picked up a camera, whether it's an iPhone, a DSLR, we say, turn your body towards wherever the light's coming from, and we photograph her accordingly. But now we're bringing out a beautiful curves, we're bringing out some shadows, and arguably more important than where the light's coming from is where we take the light away, and that's those shadows. So let's go a little bit closer so we understand those nuances a little bit more by photographing 3/4. Okay, so stand flat to the camera again. Okay, good. So we are photographing her front on, but at least we have the light coming from the side, so at least the shadows are giving us some depth and dimension and shape. But again, when we start pointing the toe towards the camera, sliding that heel back, bending that knee, hands on the hips, for example, and as you can see, her body just turns slightly this way, stop, and then lean your upper body towards the light source, and then turn your face more towards the light. Gorgeous. And now, that's going to work well. We often think that every part of her body has to be lit. That's not the case. The more shadow and highlight we see, the deeper the shot becomes and the more three-dimensional it actually looks. So now, if we turned her body this way, again, we'll do it more of a close-up way, so just about there, standing sort of flat-footed. Yep. And now, keep your body where it is and turn your face towards me. So just perfectly this way. Good. Now, you can see, though, although Rainey obviously is a gorgeous girl, she's got beautiful features on her face, when we use lighting coming from the side, we call that split lighting. Lighting is on one side, shadow on the other. Therefore, it's considered a very masculine quality of light. Now, I often refer to lighting almost like sweet and sour. We have enough sweetness in the face, and I often refer to the sourness of light, like masculine light, that very hard quality of light coming from the side. I feel like you need enough sweetness in the face and soft features to get away with that harsh light. But I'm telling you now, the difference will be if we have that beautiful lighting coming in that direction, we turn her chin or the nose towards the light to a point where both eye sockets are lit. Let me explain that further right now as we go a little bit closer. So now that I've told you to turn the body away from the light and turn the face back in, let's look at the nuances of the face and then how we can actually make the face look better based upon the direction of light and what will work especially for women. Okay, Rainey, so just turn your face this way. Okay, so yeah, let's photograph you poorly for a moment. So turn your face more that way. Good, just there. Now, okay, so there's Rainey. I love seeing Rainey in bad light because it sort of makes me feel better about my own insecurities there. But this is what we call a beautiful girl in bad light. Now we might say, well, that's a great location, therefore that's why we photograph in that particular perspective. I'm saying that's not good enough. What you want to do is this. Very gently, what we're going to do now is we're going to bring her face from here and just follow my hand. We're going to turn her nose towards the light source. So stop, keep on going, stop there. Okay, we call that split lighting. Okay, again, I think that's a very masculine quality of light. I feel like if we keep on turning her nose until the eye socket on this side is actually completely lit, then we're going to get a beautiful shot of her. Turn your face this way, turn. Okay, stop there. Do you see how just the corner of her eye socket needs a bit more light? Let's keep on going. Right there, stop there, and now tilt your head this way, and then drop the chin a little bit. Beautiful. So now, I'm not after this heroic shot or anything like that, but you can see the catch lights in her eyes are amazing. Cheekbones and jawline are looking amazing there as well, but there's a huge difference between that and that. So we call this short lighting. Short lighting is we're shooting on the short side of the face in the sense that this is the shadow side of the face. And if I was to photograph her like this and turn, we call this the broad side of the face. This brings out character and often reserved for, say, masculine face, like a guy. Or perhaps if we wanted to make a skinnier girl, let's say who's a little bit more gaunt in the face, maybe look a little bit fuller in the cheeks. But I'm yet to meet a girl who wants to look fuller in their face than they actually are. It's very, very rare that to happen. So chin up a little bit, tilt the face this way, turn your face in that direction, and that's it. Now, remember guys, when it comes to lighting, it's really important to understand that posing and lighting work in harmony. So if we come back a little bit and have a look at this shot from this perspective, so now we're basically going to crop just underneath her bust and above her elbows. It's really important to understand that. So if we photograph at the peak of her bust, it's a waist of a curve. I would probably go directly above. In this case, I like to go underneath her bust and above her elbow because once you pass the elbow, you feel like you want to see more of the arm. This becomes a portrait of somebody. So that's basically it. That's what we're doing that. All right, very good. So now, let's bring those shoulders back, this one as well. So bring that right back. Good. Perfect. Just stay there for me, Rainey. And again, we're turning her body away from the light source and her face back in. It's considered very feminine to do that. So to bring her chin to the outer shoulder and then eyes back. So looking back at me. Good. Now watch what happens if we keep her face there and we turn her body towards a light source. Turn your body this way. Stop there. And then hang your face this way. And then turn your face looking at me. And eyes at me. Great. So look at the difference. Turn the body away from the light source, we get the shadow on the cleavage, shadow on the body and the shoulder line, and then we've got that beautiful shadow on the side of the face. When we turn her body towards the light source, it's going to be an issue. And again, for her, she's very slim, it makes it really easy, but the common denominator is turn the body away from the light source and turn the face back in. Now, what other lighting can work for a girl? Well, certainly it's endless. There's so many different qualities of light, so many different styles of lighting, but what would complement her? If we simply change our position in relationship to the light, we're going to get a very different quality. And let's do that right now. So now what I've done is I've got my back towards the light source and the light is flooding in to Rainey. Now, this is going to make her skin look really soft, which girls, of course, they love that. If you're photographing, say, parents or grandparents, they're going to love it because you are flooding in the light. What you have to sort of imagine, I often refer to faces like landscapes. Imagine as we get older, we get lines in the face, we get all those little nooks and crannies, as we say. I find like the Grand Canyon, you know, and seeing all those lines and all that character, by you flooding in the light, you're filling up the canyon and you're not seeing those creases, you're not seeing those peaks and valleys. So depending on the person that you're photographing, you want to make sure that the lighting that you're using is going to complement them. In this case, girls want to look slim, so the shot that we did previously with the shadow on the side of the face is closer to the camera, the short side, the shadow side is great, but in this case, her skin is already flawless. We're going to make it look even more flawless with flooding the light right into her like this. So lean forward there for me, Rainey. Turn your body this way, so I get a little bit of styling going on. And then lean forward with your chin forward, and then down a little bit, and then turn your face this way. Good, hold it there. Okay, that's beautiful. Can just change my angle here a little bit. Perfect. Okay, eyes at me. Beautiful. It's obviously quite tough with the light and how that works. But you see how what we've done is I've actually turned her face. She's not completely facing the camera. She's actually facing right here. But she's turning her face on this particular perspective, and that's giving us a little bit of shadowing on this side of the face. If I wanted it more soft and more flooded, she would turn her face perfectly at the camera. Let's do that. So now, turn your face this way. That's it, chin down. And then turn your face more this way, more. Good. And then straighten up. Good. Rainy, turn your face more this way. That's it. And turn your face there. Good. Okay, perfect. Okay. Beautiful. That's perfect. So light's flooding through, looking really good. Now, what happens if I wanted to actually create a bit more of a shadow? So here's what's happening. We've got a canvas background, which is dark. It's not too dark, but it's dark. It's going to cut away light. So if I tilt her face, the top of her head towards that particular background, we're going to create a little bit of shadow, even though that we're actually going to photograph on the light side of the face. Does that make sense? The broad side. So let's do that. So ready? Turn this way and turn. Good. Hold it there. Okay, so if you can look at Rainey there now, you can see that this canvas background is cutting away light on this side of the face, therefore creating a shadow on her face. And eyes at me. Good. Perfect. And now, if I wanted a shadow on this side of the face, I just simply turn her. And just take your hair on from that side. So that's it, perfect. Good. Turn your face this way and turn. And then Rainey, turn your face a bit more towards me. Stop there. Perfect. Awesome. Eyes at me. Good. 1 second. Just resetting the focus here. Perfect. So now we see this soft lighting. We did it first of all with a little hint of shadow. Then we did it flat. It looked fantastic. Then if I wanted a little bit of what we call modeling as in we're creating shape and we see the silhouette, her shape and depth, we turned her face towards that background, creating a bit of a shadow, and then we did it the opposite way. Now really it's up to you as to which way do you prefer, but the fact is that lighting for women, every woman's going to be a little bit different. And if someone was to ask me, what does good lighting even mean? In my perspective, my humble opinion, is good lighting is either flattering and or it helps communicate the message you're trying to convey to the viewer. In this case, we're not trying to save the world with our photographs. We're not trying to show depth of character and lines and those wisdom lines, and every line tells a story. We're just basically meant for soft and flattering quality of light. Of course, if you were on the streets of India and you were seeing a great grandmother and you're seeing this side lighting and texture and depth and dimension and form, well, that's where you'd have the light coming from the side to show all those beautiful lines. But it depends on what you're trying to go for. But remember, you want to turn the body away from the light source, turn the face back in. If you are standing in where the light source is and flooding through, well then of course you can actually change the perspective of where the shadow's coming from by simply a tilt of the face and turning the face into a darker area. Now, do we always feel that we can't turn the body towards a light source? And what are the exceptions to that rule? Well, let me show you now. We mentioned before that it might not be a great idea to actually turn the body of the girl, the model, the woman, the bride, whoever you're photographing towards a light source. Now, yes, I feel like you can do that depending on the body type. So again, Rainey is very slim, she's got a great figure, she can get away with it, although I do prefer her where she turns her body away from the light source and the face back in. But if I wanted a bit of a different perspective, I could turn her body completely towards a light source so that I get half her body in light and half her body in shadow. In that way, it works better. So watch this. So right now, what we're seeing here is her body's facing us. I want you to very gently pretend like you're on a turntable and you're turning towards the light. Stop there. So you can see the difference there, right? So now we're broad lighting her. She looks a little bit squarer, but now if I turn her body more this way, a bit more, perfectly so side on, so now I get the curves. One side of her body is in light, one side's in shadow. So what I want her to do, she's doing it already naturally, she's actually pointing the toe towards the camera. So point that toe more towards me, slide the heel back in, that's it, bend the knee a little bit. I want you to hold your hands a bit further behind you, a bit more, and now I want you to lean towards the light source. That's it, and then bring your hands and elbows a little bit more back. Actually, good, put your hands on your hips there for me. And bring your elbows back a little bit. Good. So now what I'm basically seeing is I'm seeing a gap between her elbow and her body. I can see the outline of her bust and her butt, and I can see the legs. In other words, we've got peaks and valleys, a lot more so than we did beforehand. Now, if she turned her face towards us, let's do the exact same thing with her face towards us. Perfect, hold it there. Might go a little bit closer. Don't usually like cropping right at the ankles. This, in my opinion, is more of a 3/4 shot, so that's great. So lean forward that way, turn your body this way. Good, and eyes back at me. Perfect, hold it. Beautiful. So there's a big difference between shifting her weight and her body towards the light, but so much so that we're now seeing an even split between highlight and shadow. Now, how do we combine, let's say, light from a garage door or light from an actual window with other supplementary lighting to give us a really cool effect? Let's do that. All right, let's turn this way. Okay, Rainy, you want to stand there for me? Okay, so what I'm doing here to prepare for our tutorial, I've got a couple of ice lights. So the ice light was my invention, in case you don't know. And what we're going to do is we're going to use soft light coming through the garage door. Again, this could be likened to a softbox or a window. Doesn't really matter. We have this direction of light coming through this way. But what we're going to do is we're going to look at the light, the way it falls on her, and then maybe add a bit of a hair light and possibly even a background light to give us an idea. So Rainy, if you want to just look at me there for a moment. Okay, so turn this way and turn your body away from the light source, a bit more, and then turn your face back in, a bit more, and then your chin to your shoulder. Good. Okay, hold it there. And then look at me, darling. Turn this way. Turn this way. Good. I'm going to shoot just horizontally. Now, she has blonde hair, so we can easily separate her from the background. It's not a problem. But I find that, if you want even more separation, that's where you can introduce a hair light. And then that's, of course, where you can introduce a background light as well. Depends on what you want. Now, there are endless ways of doing this. At the end of the day, you just got to pick one. All right, so let's have a look. So now, just to remind you how we light the face, let's start with your face away from the light there, Rainy. Okay, so at the moment, lighting is not so great on her there. Let's just hold there for a second. Now, very gently, I want you to turn this way, stop there. So right now, we don't have her face completely lit, but then we turn her face to a point where the eye socket, her right eye socket, or camera left, is completely lit. Let's start again. Come from here, and very slowly follow my hand. Stop, tilt the face. Why do I tilt the face and turn the chin to the shoulder? It adds a bit more finesse, it's quite feminine. Remember what we said? If we pose her chin to her outer shoulder and eyes back at the camera, it's very feminine. If you did that with a guy, it would look very feminine, which you don't want. Okay, so bring your shoulders back a little bit more and your elbows back a little bit more. Good. Just want to do that. Perfect. And then eyes at me there, Rainy. Gorgeous. Hold it there. Beautiful. Good. All right, so now we've taken that shot. Now let's introduce some other elements. Let's introduce a hair light. So what I'm doing is I'm preparing an ice light at the back with some barn doors. And I want a bit of a beam of light to separate her from the background. We're so already somewhat doing that. The fact that she's got blonde hair, great. That separates her from the background automatically. But a bit of hair light would add that little bit of extra, edge and finesse to what we're doing and look a little bit more professional. I want to say professional. I mean, just you can tell that this has been lit by a pro photographer. And right now, I'm just preparing this to the point where we get to it. So, all right, what we'll do, so we can amplify what's going on, I'll turn off the ambient lights already in this garage, get it ready so we can re-establish where we were and then what we got to. So turn your body a little bit away and then turn your face back in, so chin to the shoulder. Just lean forward, just bring your 1 foot out there. That's it, good, and then chin to the shoulder. Good, turn your face this way. Fantastic. All right, let's have a look at what we got here. Bring this left elbow back. That's great. And then bring your right elbow back as well. Good, hold it there. Okay, let's just retake that shot. So just eyes at me there for me, hold it there. Good, beautiful. So we've got lighting, a strong direction of light on this side. We've got beautiful catch lights in the eyes, and then we've got a shadow on that side of the face. So now what I want to do is introduce that hair light. So if you can go back in that same position. The important thing is, guys, that you do not want this light to actually touch her nose or the top of her head. Hair's okay, but the minute the light hits the top of the head or tip of the nose, it's going to look a little bit weird. So draw an imaginary line from this light to where she is, and then we can go there accordingly. So turn your face back there so I can just tell, so where it was. Top of your head sort of towards the garage, or towards the car there. Good, all right. And I think we're good right there. Okay, so let's have a look at the difference. Beautiful. Turn your face this way for me, Rainey. Good. Hold it there. Hold it there. Hold it. Bring both elbows back. Your right elbow especially. A bit more. Good. Hold it there. Eyes at me. Now I can see the light stand from behind there. And even though this is more of a tutorial than after these incredible finesse shots, we're just going to get rid of it anyway. Great. Hold it there for me. Hold it. Eyes at me. Perfect. So we see a big difference between no hair light and then with hair light. I would probably dim that down a little bit. So let's just come down and dim that down a couple of notches. So it's on the highest power setting. Just use your judgment in terms of what you think looks and feels good, and make sure there's detail in the hair in the back there. Turn the face that way again. That's perfect. Yeah, that's looking a little bit more subtle. Fantastic. Hold it there. Arms off the body. Eyes at me. Perfect. Hold it. Good. So now we're going to introduce a light in the background. So we're going to turn this light on. That's going to work well for us as well. Let's see what we get. Going to need that a little bit lower. So let's always take your time, guys. No different than a hair and makeup artist spending a lot of time with what they do. Why should we be rushed? It's the same thing, right? I sort of want a bit of a glamorous look, and I quite like the fact that it almost looks like a spotlight too. So I'm going to go closer so I can get rid of the actual light source there and take a micro shuffle this way. Stop there. Good. Lean this way. Turn your face this way. Again, chin more to the shoulder. Top of your head that way. Good. Eyes at me. Beautiful. Hold it there for me. Hold it. Good. Bring both elbows back, right back, and drop that arm so I can't see it. That right hand. Perfect. Eyes at me. Beautiful. Hold it. Gorgeous. And let's come a little bit closer actually. Hold on. Perfect. So elbows out there, Rainey. Perfect. Hold it there for me. Hold it. All right. So look at the difference. So we just basically have light coming through. Again, this could be likened to a window light, a strobe, whatever it may be, a big light source coming through. We turn her face until a point where we get both eye sockets completely lit. That way now we get a shadow on this side of the face. It's become the short side, the narrow side, the shadow side as we call it. And then she looks back in the camera. We've got beautiful catch lights in the eyes. Then we add a hair light. We soften that light there as well. And then we add a bit of a background light that bring that all together. And that's what it's all about, guys, is just being able to complement who's in front of your camera and it look exceptional. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed that. Remember, of course, we could have done this 1,000 different ways. I wanted to give you an understanding of what will complement the female form as well as the face and give you an idea that lighting shouldn't be that difficult. Remember, wherever the light is coming from, turn the body away from the light source to a point where you get a shadow on the cleavage in the middle of a dress or whatever the body type, whatever it basically may be, and then turn the face back into the light until you get both eye sockets completely lit. Remember, the chin to the outer shoulder and eyes back at the camera is going to be a very feminine look. If you want softer, if you want less wrinkles, if you have a girl with acne or anything like that, make sure the light floods from the front. If you want a bit more character, of course, it comes from the side. Quite simply, you always have to look at the face, look at the direction of light, and understand how these two things meet. Hope that gave you a really good perspective. Enjoy, guys, and remember, repetition, experience, and practice will be your best teacher. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video. Also, do me a favor, give me a thumbs up, please subscribe, and don't forget to click on that bell for notifications of future episodes. Also, leave me a comment. I'd love to hear from you, answer any of your questions, and stay connected. And remember, you don't have to be the best, you just got to be better than last week.